Hello everyone, my name is TheMadScorpyon and welcome back to Destiny 2. More on the Prismatic subclass with the Prismatic deep dive. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I know I've been seeing it in the Discord, so I think there's some negative feedback coming back from this. Now, I'm gonna be fully honest here. I think most of the negative feedback is a little unwarranted, because yesterday we did learn about Prismatic. Yes, we did know 5-element subclass, all-element subclass, but they didn't tell us that it was going to be literally everything. They gave us a few examples of what things were working out, but they didn't say it was going to be full, unhinged, everything of every subclass was going to be available. So with that, let's get into more details. So of course, they show us more details. Now, let's see. Just going over some of the words, like reading it one for one. Prismatic subclass is familiar, but with a twist. Your super melee, grenade, and aspect slots will feature a selection of light and darkness abilities from all 5 damage type subclasses. You can also select them from your available movement nodes and class abilities, including subclass specific ones such as Phoenix Dive, Acrobatic Dodge, and Thruster. Our main goal for Prismatic is to enable new and interesting build crafting combinations that lead to new types of gameplay so that we can keep the game feeling fresh. As part of this, some of the abilities we've chosen are the ones that we think have been underused since their initial release and have exciting interactions with the rest of the roster. In many cases, we have adjusted how certain aspects function to specifically enable these unique interactions. With Prismatic, we want to make an immediate impact. From the very first mission of the final shape, you'll have access to a complete starting Prismatic build with a set of light and darkness abilities, aspects, and full set of fragments. Now they dive into more details. So they go by class for everything. And so you can see right here, this is what the Hunters looks like with a variety of 6 different super abilities. And of course, fragments that are, while familiar, don't exactly look too different, with a Stasis and Void aspect, of course, the Stasis Shuriken, Solar Grenades, and of course, movement abilities that are from the various other classes. If I had to guess, I'd imagine this is the Shade Step for dodge, invis, and everything else like that, and as well as Transcendence right here for the bits. So they do give into the specifics. The Prismatic Hunter is evasive and maneuverable, grappling around the battlefield and leaping into advantageous positions with Ascension. Their starting Prismatic builds enable that maneuverability with Winter Shroud, providing a handy debuff that Stylish Executioner, which now triggers by defeating any afflicted by any subclass debuff, can activate them, providing for easily accessed invisibility to reposition wherever you need with safety. You'll be able to choose between the different light and darkness abilities from each column down below. So, for the supers, we will have Storm's Edge, which I believe is the new Arc super, Golden Gun Marksman, that's 3-shot, Silence and Squall, as well as the Strand, Silk Strike, and Shadow Shot Deadfall, which I believe is the single-shot one. Now, that is from all 5 subclasses. Keep in mind, that is a variety. Then for the class abilities, you'll start with the Marksman's Dodge, which is the reload dodge. You'll also have the Dodge, which is the melee ability recharge, and Acrobats, which is the Radiant Dodge. So that is all of the different available dodges that are available pretty much. Then for the movement nodes, of course, you have High Jump, Strafe Jump, Triple Jump, and Blink. You'll have access to Blink on all subclasses, which, holy crap, that is already a game changer. Then for melees, you will have the Combination Blow off of Arc, Knife Trick, which is the Heavy Knife off of Solar, the basic Shuriken, the basic Threaded Spike, and of course the usual Snare Bomb, although there isn't options for the Void. And for the grenade abilities, you will have Arc Bolt, Swarms, Dust Fields, Grapple, and Magnetics. Which, full disclosure, it doesn't look like a lot of these are the usual picks I would use for the variety of classes. I would use Storm Grenade here, I think I use Healing Grenades on here because, you know, Hunter Squish, but I digress. And as well, you'll have the Ascension aspect, Gunpowder Gamble, Winter Shroud, Threaded Spectre, as well as Stylish Executioner. Now, there is a lot of starting there. And of course, starting indicates abilities you are included in your starting Prismatic build during the first mission of Final Shape. Now, there is options, and of course, they didn't go all the way full bore. There's lots of mix match here that you can choose from. Then as well, Prismatic Titan, the way it goes forward. You have the new Twilight Arsenal Void, Thunder Crash, Blade Fury, Hammer of Soul, and Glacial Quake. Not gonna lie, there isn't a lot of variety that is exactly available, but not surprising. And of course, the 3 class abilities, the Tall Wall, the Short Wall, and the Thruster, and all the movements. Then for our melee abilities, we have Void Shield Throw, Arc Thunderclap, the Frenzy Blade Strand, because that's the only option, same with Shiver Strike, and the basic Hammer Strike, which I forget if that is the Throne Hammer or the Shoulder Charge Hammer officially. Names are ages ago. Then you will have the Void Suppressor Grenade, Arc Pulse Grenades, Shackle Grenades, which is the Suspend Grenades, Thermite Grenades, and Glacier Grenades, which makes sense. And for the aspects, we have Unbreakable, Knockout, Drenger's Lash, Consecration, and Diamond Lance. Now, once again, starting indicates stuff you will start with. So the starting subclass will be any of the class abilities, Thunder Crash or Blade Fury, as well as, let's see, Thunderclap, Frenzy Blade. Yeah, it seems like mostly Arc Strand and Stasis. Then for the Prismatic Warlock, you will have Song of Flame, which is the new solar one, Nova Bomb, Big Bomb, Storm Trance, Winter's Wrath, and Needlestorm, which, again, there's not many options there, so not surprising. Then you'll have the Healing Rift, Empowering Rift, and the Phoenix Dive, available for all classes. Then, of course, all of the variety of glides, as well as Blink, again, really nifty. Then for melees, you will have the Incinerator Snap, the Pocket Singularity, the only Void melee, Chain Lightning off of Storm Trance, which is one of two, Penumbral Blance, and Arcane Needle, the same things that are only available there. You'll have access to Healing Grenade, Vortex Grenade, Storm Grenade, Cold Snap, and Threadling Grenade, with the aspects of Hellion, Feed the Void, Lightning Surge, Bleak Watchers, and Weaver's Call available to you. Now, I'm just going to go right at the bat. Yes, I am a little sad that not everything is making with it, but then again, I wasn't so naive to think that we would get anything. Now, keep in mind as well, this is the opening thing. For all we know, Prismatic is going to evolve, or Bungie is going to give us a starting thing, and with another update episode down the line, gain access to more abilities. Hell, with every new subclass, every week following would essentially, or actually season following, would bring a new aspect. We've seen this multiple times with both Strand and Stasis. When they released, the next following seasons will unleash new aspects and fragments. What's to say that the next episode down the line that gives us more access to the, or even the next, actually no, not the next season, I forget, seasons are pretty much done. But like I said, what's to say that the next episode brings another whole set of all of these? Just keep that in mind before you get negative thinking that they aren't giving us everything and are shooting us in the metaphorical foot. So, explore your potential. You'll start off with a fairly focused initial loadout. You'll quickly expand your toolset and possible combinations. As you continue through the Pale Heart of the Traveler, you'll uncover the remaining abilities, aspects, fragments as mission rewards, as well as unlocking them through post-campaign quests and as collectibles hidden throughout the world. Our ultimate goal is that as you progress your journey through the to save the Traveler and humanity, you'll be able to continually experiment with the new buildcraft options and find novel ways to tackle the challenges ahead of you. There's no currency to unlock these new build crafting elements. When you find a prismatic chest in the world or after a particularly tough battle, they're immediately granted and available for use. Part of the building prismatic was ensuring that every option and combination felt viable across a variety of content and difficulties. So most of the abilities you've seen here also have had a tuning pass that we'll share more in detail lead up to the final shape. Aspects were damage type specific and have their requirements loosely loosened when using prismatic. For example, Diamond Lance and Feed the Void activate from ability defeats from any damage type, not just Stasis and Void. Stylus Executioner activates when defeating an enemy afflicted by any elemental debuff, not just Void. And I believe that is another thing people need to take into account. Not everything was going to exactly work together. As much as it would have been nice to see the Threaded Spectre in combination, or what's something that I can think of? Well, it's hard to think of things off the bat, but there was going to be some things that were counterintuitive to each other, that if they worked together, it just wouldn't really work. It's hard to think of off the top of my head, but you gotta understand, again, all these classes were made individual of each other. Bungie let loose the shackles and are allowing them to crash together, and like I said, they're adjusting things so they can work with one another. I have a feeling that there was a lot of stuff that if they just crammed together, it might not work right. Because obviously, with like Hunters, the grenade buff shroud, or the grenade buff aspect, how would that work if you were managed to upgrade literally every other grenade available? That would not work together so well. The Hunter dodge blind, if you used Acrobat's dodge, I have a feeling there wouldn't be a good combination there, considering the dodge itself already gives you Radiant. But I digress. Like I said, just keep that in mind. Not everything was meant to work together, so yeah, suddenly smashing them together, don't be surprised that they don't work. But then, as well, Prismatic is more than just using familiar abilities and new combinations. We also wanted to create a new gameplay to showcase the player's newfound mastery of the elements. Enter Transcendence. It's the result of the collision of light and dark that your Guardian can now control. Enables the never before seen power. When you're using Prismatic, you'll notice a new bar below your super energy meter. This is the new indicator for the Transcendent and Darkness meter, which we've seen this. You got to do light damage to charge this one, dark damage to charge this one, and then you can enter Transcendence. When you deal light or apply light-aligned debuffs, the light bar fills. When you deal darkness-aligned damage or apply darkness-aligned debuffs, the darkness bar fills. Kinetic damage fills both bars at a reduced rate, but that rate increases when either bar is filled, making it a solid choice to help a lagging bar catch up. When both bars are full and meet in the middle, Transcendence is available. While Transcended, your melee and grenade energy are instantly refreshed and regenerate more quickly. Dealing damage with Grenade further increases your melee regeneration and vice versa. Your weapon damage is slightly increased and you are more resistant to incoming damage. Our goal for Transcendence, both in terms of uptime and potency, is that it feels like miniature supers that are readily available when your loadout and playstyle interweave light and darkness together in harmony. Being Transcendent also allows you to break the shields of special combatants standing in your way on your journey through the Pale Heart of the Traveler. These combatants have been bound by the witness and are invulnerable to incoming damage otherwise. Whew. In addition to these boosts, while Transcending, you also have access to new grenades, one unique to each class that deals both light and dark together. The Hunters will have the Hailfire Spike, a device charged with stasis matter and solar energy, attaches to surfaces or targets, and then erupts into a slowing storm. After a short duration, the device ignites, creating a deadly scorching cyclone. For Titans, the Electrified Snare, throw an explosive device energized with strand matter and arc energy that detonates into a supercharged suspending burst. The suspended target takes heavy damage over time and changes jolting lightning to any nearby targets. And for the Warlocks, they have the Freezing Singularity. Throw a massive void and stasis matter. On impact, it deploys a miniature black hole orbited by a halo of slowing ice. After a short duration, the black hole implodes, suppressing and dealing heavy damage to all nearby targets. Now in Multitudes, let's talk about Prismatic Fragments. One of the challenges we identified early was that a lot of power from our single damage type subclasses come from the network of many interconnected gameplay loops that the player can dip into when they focus their build crafting on a single element. When the player focus is split between multiple elements, we still need to provide enough opportunities for stacking powerful synergies, as well as providing them value in the new Transcendent loop. To help solve this problem, we increase most Prismatic Aspect Fragment slots allotment to 3, with a few of our most potent options staying at the 2 fragment slots. You're going to need extra space. With Prismatic from day 1 of the final shape, you'll be able to find or own a total of 21 fragments, a sizable bump over the typical 14 to 16. Some are reimaginings or combinations of existing fragments, and some are brand new. Unlike our core damage type, Fragments and Prismatic are unlocked for all of your characters as soon as you acquire them. If you finish the campaign on your Hunter and want to start with your Titan will have all the fragments you have previously unlocked. Now here is some of the stuff we can look forward to. And again, I need to reiterate this. A lot of stuff is all coming together. There's going, like they just said, some fragments are combined. We are getting also new fragments that could be entirely freaking broken. I imagine if we had active 7 different fragments and had access to every single aspect of the game, it would be horribly broken beyond a recognizable state, which is another thing I need to mention. I heard people saying that the game sandbox is going to be beyond balance. Not if they actually give us an unlimited amount, but yeah, I get it. Everyone wants to have the wolves let loose, but at the same time, the wolves let loose decimate the local population of small vermin. But I digress again. So we have the Facet of Balance. Rapidly defeating targets with light damage grants melee energy. Rapidly defeating dark damage grants grenade energy. I'm seeing a lot of that in tandem. Facet of Bravery. Defeating targets with grenade grants volatile rounds to void weapons. With powered melee weapons grants unraveling rounds to strand weapons. Facet of Dawn Starting. Powered melee hits against targets makes you radiant. Powered melee final blows make both you and nearby allies radiant. Facet of Defiance. Finisher creates a detonation that either jolts, scorches, slows, severs, or makes them volatile based on the damage type of the equipped super. I like that sound. Facet of Dominance. Your void grenades weaken and arc grenades jolt. Nice. Facet of Generosity. Defeating targets while Transcendent creates Orb of Power. Facet of Grace. Damaging targets with kinetic weapons grants you bonus Transcendent energy. Dealing targets or defeating targets with your super grants you and nearby allies bonus Transcendent energy. The Facet of Hope. While you have an elemental buff, your class ability regenerates quicker. Facet of Justice. While Transcendent, your ability final blows explode all over the place. Facet of Protection. While surrounded by enemies, you're more resistant to incoming damage. Nice that that stayed. Facet of Purpose. Picking up an Orb of Power grants either Amplified, Restoration, Frost Armor, Woven Mail, Overshield, or all based on the damage type. Wait, that's another thing. Frost Armor. New Defense for Stasis buff. Then Facet of Ruin. This increases the size and damage of the burst when you shatter a stasis crystal or frozen target. Increase the size of solar ignitions. That sounds nice. Now, that is pretty much the full list of everything that they are telling us for now. Now, again, I just want to reiterate with folks. I get that you can have negative opinions. I'm not saying that you can't. But I also think that people need to understand that it literally, if we had access to every single fragment, every single aspect, all at once, even with the restricted fragment slots that we're going to be having after they improved the average amount of fragment slots, the balance would be unlike anything this planet would have seen. It literally would have either had to have been, it would have been so easy it was trivial, or they would have then had to increase the difficulty of the enemies beyond a noticeable doubt, to the point of anyone using not Prismatic would be freaking left behind and no longer using anything basic. So, yeah, I just want people to understand that if you're still watching, I appreciate watching and listening to my words, but you have to back off of Bungie on this. If Call of Duty suddenly came out and said you can have 80 attachments on your gun, but said you are only going to have a selection of 5 sights from the 30, I don't think people would be that mad, because they have to think, oh, I have 80 sights. You are combining things never seen but working together. We need to actually take a step back, pump the brakes, and understand that things are going to be wild, even with the limited amount of stuff we have. It's going to be good. We just have to have faith that it will turn out better than what we think it is, now that we know we're not getting literally everything. With that, my name is TheMadScorpyon. I will see you in the next video.